My name is Amber and I work in the Career Development Center here at St. Thomas, and I have the pleasure to be your next presenter this afternoon. Before we get started, I just want to check in. How many St. Thomas alumni do we have in this room? A few, okay. So some of the things I'm going to mention throughout the presentation, I'm going to call on alumni to not participate like today, I promise, but there are a few activities that you guys might want to get involved in to help our students. So, like I said, I work in the Career Development Center and I'm the newest counselor in the office. And one of the reasons that I absolutely love my job so much is because I'm an only child and I'm a first-generation college student. And I have had the fortune to become the person that I wish I had had access to when I was in college, okay? Because I didn't know what I was doing and my parents certainly didn't either. So the Career Development Center is there to help students and alumni through all the phases of the career development process, okay? So we're going to talk about what all those pieces might be, but our primary services are offered on the St. Paul campus. We have offices in Murray Herrick Hall, which is just across the quad. All of our services are free with the exception of some assessments and some of the job fairs and events that we have for students. So they're free to students and they're free to alumni, which is really cool. So we're going to start off today by going through kind of briefly our career development model. And I'm not used to having quite so many screens here to look at. So our career model, there are 4 main quadrants, as you can see. They're differently colored. So the red quadrant, that's the self-assessment phase, and that is a phase that we see a lot of first-year students coming in at. So they're coming into our office saying, you know, I need some help choosing a major, thinking about what career might be a good fit for me. So these are assessing things like your personality and your skills and your interests and your values and what's really important to you, and some of the experiences that you've had that might have led to certain skills or values or what have you, okay? So that is a place that we will frequently see first-year students coming in to see us, and we really, really love talking about these things. The next phase, the purple quadrant there, that is the reality check phase. So after a student has come in and we've talked about, you know, who are you? What's important to you? What are you good at? And they've narrowed down some of those things and started to think about majors or career fields that they're interested in or that they think would be a good fit for them. Now it's time to start doing the research about those occupations and majors, looking at employment trends and job postings just to get a feel for what's going on in the field, in the real world. So that's why we call it the reality check phase. The next portion, the green portion, is the implementation section. And this is kind of where I like to say the rubber hits the road. So this is the time where students are applying for part-time jobs and internships. They're writing resumes, interviewing, searching for different positions or volunteer or shadow opportunities, depending on the fields that they're interested in. And then the last section, the yellow section, this is where we would most frequently see an alumni come in. So this is more of the career management portion. So an alumni coming in saying, you know, I'm looking at that promotion, I think I might be ready for it, can you help me get ready to apply and to go through the interview and all that kind of stuff. Or maybe it's an alumni who's changing jobs or has been laid off or isn't happy in their position anymore and doesn't know what to do. So we see those people as well. And something to take note of is that within the first 3 quadrants that I outlined, a student can come in kind of any of those areas, and they might cycle back sometimes, and this is cyclical. So chances are, and you've probably all experienced this, you go through these things more than once in your life, okay? So you apply for a job more than once. You maybe think about changing your career, all those kinds of things, okay? So next, we're going to go a little bit more in depth on some of these things, okay? So if you have any questions, hold them till the end, and I will stick around or I will answer questions then, okay? So let's talk a little bit more about self-assessment. So who am I? So some students come in with a really good idea of who they are, what's important to them, their personality. Some students don't. Some students want a little help figuring it out. So we are there for that. We offer one-on-one career counseling sessions, so full 50-minute counseling sessions that students can schedule with our office. We also have a short 3-week, I would call it a seminar series, but it's really, really robust. So it's called Charting Your Career Path. So as part of that experience, students take a Myers-Briggs, which is a personality assessment, and then a strong interest inventory, which is a interests and skills assessment. And then we process that with them, and they get to process that with their peers in the group. And it's a really fun experience because they can kind of bounce ideas off of each other, and we go through how to do that career research and the major research and all of those pieces. So the assessments portion is a part of that Charting Your Career Path course, but students don't have to participate in Charting Your Career Path to do the assessments. If they want to come into our office and talk about this, and we can decide together which assessments are a good match for them, or if they really need an assessment or not. And then the last piece here, which you will see me probably referencing many, many times throughout the presentation today, are our online resources. So we have a really, really awesome website. We have all kinds of information there for students, for everything from major exploration and all that, resumes, cover letters, doing job research and career research. We have a really, really robust job postings website. So it's all there for students to use as well. So I would advise you as parents to check that out as well, okay? So those are the primary components of the self-assessment phase. And like I said, this is a place where a lot of first-year students come in and talk to us, and we're really, really happy to see them. And just so you know, if you want to hint, tell your student, hey, maybe you want to go talk to them about that. We are available to see first-year incoming students before they're actually here. So if you'd like them to come in this summer, we are there, okay? So next. So after a student has had the opportunity to do some of that self-assessment and feels a little bit more confident in knowing themselves, we move on to the reality check phase. And there's a lot of stuff that happens here. So that career counseling piece, those 50-minute appointments, we also offer pop-ins, I wouldn't call them appointments, that runs through all of this. We are always there for those appointments, okay? Events. So we have throughout the year a variety of career fairs, panels, information sessions from employers and other organizations like the Peace Corps, and the CIA comes every year, which is really, really cool. So we have all of these things going on that provide students with the opportunity to learn more about career fields and employers, okay? We also really work heavily with students to do informational interviewing. So this is a really important component. Get out there and talk to some people who are doing some of the jobs that you're interested in. Ask them questions. They know it best, right? Shadow experiences. So if a student, does some informational interviewing, but they have the opportunity to actually follow someone around for a day or half a day to really see what a day in the life of a doctor or a physical therapist. This is really popular in those pre-health professions careers, just to see, what is it like on the daily basis, okay? LinkedIn. So we have a few LinkedIn groups. One of them is called Alumni Sharing Knowledge. And so when I asked if there were any Tommy alumni in the room, we would ask that you alumni find this group and join the group. So we encourage students to go to this group and say they're looking for someone who is an accountant that they would really like to talk to do an informational interview. A student can go to the group, pose the question, say, I'm really exploring a few different career fields. I would love to find an accountant to talk to. Is there anybody out there who would be willing to do an informational interview with me? Or if they have a specific question about a career field, we encourage them to go to these groups. And our alumni network is very loyal and really loves helping current students. And so that's why I would ask you, Tommy alumni, to go and join the group. Internships. So internships are a huge way to learn about a career field. It's really good practical experience. Sometimes we have to learn by doing and get that experience. So a lot of our students, well over 50% of students, I think it's up over 60%, do report doing an internship while they're here at St. Thomas. And we have a variety of resources to help them find those internships and guide them through the process of applying and interviewing and negotiating and all those things. And then again, we have those online resources as well, okay? And so backtracking a little bit, when I talk about informational interviewing and when I talk about shadowing, we have a couple really cool programs here at St. Thomas that are run through the alumni office. One of them is called Take a Tommy to Lunch, and so alumni and students sign up for this event, and they are paired together based on their career fields and their interests, and you take a Tommy to lunch. So the alumni, again, come back, take a Tommy to lunch, help them learn about the careers and the big wide world that is in front of them. And then the other one is the Student Alumni Mentoring Program. So Take a Tommy to Lunch is kind of more of a short-term thing. It can be one meeting, or you can make it more if you would like it to be. But then the Student Alumni Mentoring Program is meant to be more long-term. So again, encourage your students and any alumni to sign up for those programs. They're really great experiences. I've gotten a lot of great feedback from students who have participated, that they've made a lot of great connections and learned a lot from these alumni, okay? So next, I believe I handed out to every table, and I think Paul handed out some. You all have that white half sheet on your table, okay? So one of the big questions that we get asked, or one of the things that students are really concerned about, is, does my major matter? You know, is it really important that I have a certain major? And what sorts of different things can I do with my major, okay? So this is a little guessing game. So in each of the quadrants on this sheet of paper, there are job titles reported from the class of 2015. And so all of the job titles are the same major. So each of these people had the exact same major here at St. Thomas, okay? So I'm gonna give you like, okay, we're doing good on time, so you can have like 2 minutes to think about it and guess what major it might be. On the back, you will find a short list of majors. It will be one of these majors for each of those quadrants, okay? Okay, so next I'm going to be asking for you to raise your hand and give me some guesses, and you're going to have to be loud because this is a big room, okay? So for the first one, does anybody have a guess what major those careers have in common? Nope. Modern and classical. You got it. Awesome. So the first one was modern and classical languages. What about the second one? Does anybody have a guess for the second one? Yeah. Close. It's really close with communications and journalism. English. That is the answer. So the second group had English as the common major. What about the third one? Biology. You guys are doing really good. Good job. Okay, what about the last one? Not finance. Not general business, it was marketing. That's the one that I think tricks people the most out of the group, but you guys did really good, so congratulations, okay? So this is kind of designed to demonstrate that you can see that's a wide variety of careers for any given major. So it doesn't necessarily mean that one major locks you into any one career field. You have a lot of opportunities with that education, okay? So the next thing that I have for you is a short video compiled of students' feedback and information and their experiences here at St. Thomas as they interact with the Career Development Office. So this kind of gives you an idea of the different services that we offer and some of the experiences that students have had, okay?
I came in undecided and I felt like an outsider in that respect, especially when a lot of people were continuously asking me, what are you majoring in? What are you majoring in? So I really was apprehensive to picking a major and felt a lot of pressure.
I've been kind of all over the board with this. I've gone from biology to criminal justice to political science to chemistry to biochem to exercise science.
I was thinking something in business, and I was leaning towards accounting because I liked math.
I explored marketing, and I sat in on one of the AMA meetings, and I was very overwhelmed. Target was the first person that presented there, and I was just like, I don't think I could do this. And I went to one more on top of that, and I don't know, it's just not something that I saw myself doing. But other than that, I knew that I didn't want to do anything with numbers, so finance and accounting were out, and it was kind of a process of elimination.
Well, I think I've changed my major and or career path about 7 times, it seems like.
With the major that I am doing now, exercise science, I kind of thought about it at first, and then I went to like all these other different majors, and then I came back to exercise science.
I've looked more into other careers that involve math and not just focused only on accounting.
I have an internship this summer, which I'm very excited about, and I just want to gain experience.
I have an internship this summer, which will hopefully give me some experience and show me a little bit what is possible for me after school.
Right now, I'm hoping to continue majoring in exercise science, and I would like to go to either medical school or physician assistant program, grad school.
I'm hopefully going to major in actuarial science.
Networking, I know you hear it all the time, but there's a reason why people say that.
Take your time and talk to people and allow yourself the room to change your mind.
Get involved with clubs and departments and start getting one-on-one time with professors, and they'll really start to understand and know what they really want to do.
I would just say, like, keep your options open and don't feel like your first thought has to be what you actually go for. You have plenty of time to change.
Okay, so you can kind of see in this video, students have a variety of different experiences when it comes to choosing a major and finding a career path, and they're all okay. We certainly have students who are going to come in and say, I know what I want to major in, and they're right, and they stick with it, and it's great. But it's also okay to change your mind, and it's okay to explore different things. So this group of students had some really good advice there at the end. And just so you know, your students are seeing the same videos, okay? So they're seeing the same advice and getting the same information. So next, we have a lot to talk about, the implementation phase. This one is big, okay? So resumes and cover letters are like the one thing that we can count on seeing a student in our office to go on over a resume or a cover letter every single day. Some days we go through 15 or 20 of them, okay? So a resume and a cover letter is probably something that a student wants to start creating the second that they get here, if not before. They're necessary to apply for on-campus jobs or part-time jobs near campus. It's important to have one when it comes to networking, if you're participating in the Student Alumni Mentoring Program or take a Tommy to lunch. So that's a really important document to start and to have, okay? Tommy Careers is our job and internship posting site. So at any given time, there are like 1,300 to over 2,000 jobs posted on that site. So that's really cool. During the busy times, we have a lot of jobs and a lot of internships out there. When a student comes into our office and they're to the point where they're starting to think about finding that part-time job or that internship, that's what we call the search process. And we're there to help them with search strategies to create a game plan for how are you going to look for these jobs. Do you want to participate in on-campus interviewing? So we have a big on-campus interviewing program that attracts a lot of major employers in the Twin Cities, and pretty much mid-September through mid-November, you can count on all 5 of our interviewing rooms being filled, and there are a lot of students and a lot of employers coming in and out of our doors, and it's just such a great time to see all of those students, and the employers are really happy to be here to interview St. Thomas students. Or are you looking for a job or internship on your own? What is your strategy going to be as a student? So we help students to figure that out. We make sure that students are aware of all of the programs and all of the things that we have available. And in addition to on-campus interview, I'm going to skip down one to the job fairs tab. So we participate in a variety of different job fairs. We have a couple in the fall. We have a government and nonprofit fair that's held at the University of Minnesota. And I just got a registration update yesterday that we already have 22 organizations registered, which is about 10 ahead of last year, and the fair isn't until the end of October. So there are a lot of employers in the government and nonprofit area that want to meet with students. And then we also have a virtual career fair, so students can engage with employers from the comfort of their home and their computers, which is really a new thing and it's kind of cool. But then in the spring, we have the Minnesota Private Colleges Job Fair, okay? And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So this past year, we had over 300 employers registered for the fair. We have taken over the lower level of the Minneapolis Convention Center. If you've ever been to the Minneapolis Convention Center, that is a big space. So we no longer fit in the lower level. We have to take some of the level above the lower level, which is really cool. And last year, we sent over 650 students to that fair. Total attendance for the fair, including all of Minnesota's private colleges, was 2,000 students. So St. Thomas sent almost a third of all of the students that attended, which is something we're really, really proud of, and we work really hard to get our students prepared to go to that fair. We do orientation sessions, we're there for appointments and pop-ins, we help them with their elevator pitch, and it's just a really exciting time to see our students be so successful on those 2 days in February. And then again, in April, we have another job fair. It's the Minnesota Education Job Fair, and this one is kind of my favorite because I'm the chair of the fair this year. And it's for education students, so for teachers or students who are in a social work program and interested in working in schools. So that one, again, is also growing quite a lot. So one of the trends that we can see through on-campus interviewing, through our job postings, through the job fairs, is that employer engagement is really growing a lot with our students, okay? And so once students have applied for positions or they've gone to the job fair and they've gotten an interview out of a meeting at the job fair, we're there to help them with interviewing. So a lot of times students come into college with not a whole lot of interview experience, and that's really normal. So we talk with them about interviewing techniques and skills and how to prepare for an interview, everything from how to answer behavioral interview questions and what you should wear and what you should bring and that you should be on time. That's kind of important. And then we also offer mock interviews. So this is particularly helpful for those students who haven't had a whole lot of experience and might be really, really nervous about it, because it's normal to be nervous about interviewing, right? I mean, I think we've all been there. So we do mock interviews, which we treat as a real serious interview, and we ask students to come in dressed up, prepared as they would for a real interview. And we have questions that we ask them, we videotape them, sometimes we make them watch it and it's really uncomfortable, but it's good information for them to have, okay? So we're there for that as well. And then we're also there to help facilitate the networking process. So like I've said, St. Thomas has a really, really loyal alumni network. So we have the Alumni Sharing Knowledge group, and we are also able to show students how to use LinkedIn to meet other alumni, to find other alumni. And I looked, I believe it was a couple days ago, and there's a special tool on LinkedIn, if any of you are familiar. It's called the Find Alumni tool. And I went there, and it automatically, for me, shows the list of St. Thomas alumni, because I got my master's degree here, and there are over 130,000 St. Thomas alumni on LinkedIn, which was really overwhelming, okay? So that just kind of shows, you know, the power of the St. Thomas Alumni Network, and this is global, but it's also in the Twin Cities. We have a variety of events that we bring in alumni and we bring in students. The Alumni Association has a variety of events where they bring in alumni and bring in students. So we're there to help students understand the networking process, both with alumni and then with other people that they know. So I always encourage students that networking is not as scary as you think it is, because, well, have you ever asked your aunt, really? You know, what does she do? She's an accountant. Have you ever talked with her about that? And they look at me and say, well, no, I haven't thought of that. And I said, well, go ahead and ask her some questions and talk with her about that. Your network includes people you already know really well and are comfortable talking to. So particularly for those students who are really, really hesitant about networking, that's where we start. And we coach them and talk with them about how you ask those questions and how you do an informational interview and how you set up an informational interview, okay? And so one thing that we try to assess every year, we have our first destinations survey that we ask students, you know, what are you up to after graduation? And then we look at, you know, those students and did they visit our office? And how many times did they visit our office? And it is overwhelmingly true that if a student visits our office, they're much more likely to be situated after graduation. So that might mean graduate school, it might be a full-time volunteer experience or a job. They have landed somewhere. So that just kind of shows the power of our services for the students as well, okay? So now I know after talking about all of this, some of you are probably thinking, well, what can I do as a parent to help my student and help them in their career development process? Okay, I have a bunch of examples here. So the first one is listen to them. Be that open, loving, caring parent that listens to your student and listens to what they're thinking and what they're experiencing. Sometimes offer feedback, but don't push them too hard. But be there to listen and be there to give advice. Join Ask. If you are a St. Thomas alumni, please do that. Refer students to our services. So a lot of, on our intake form, we ask students, you know, how did you get here? How did you find out about our services? And a lot of times they check the little box that says parent or family member. And that's really cool because we want you to be telling your students, well, why don't you go talk to them? They'll be able to help you. They want to help you figure this out. So refer them to our services. If you are an employer, or if you could encourage your employer to post a job on Tommy Careers, to provide opportunities not only for your Tommy, but for other Tommies. Social media. So we have a variety of social media accounts that we use. Watch those things. Engage with us on those things. We have a Twitter account with the hashtag #HireTommies that kind of became a really big thing a few years ago. So you can see both employers and us and students posting with the hashtag #HireTommies. It's really exciting. Check out our website. Take a look at that website. Be familiar with our resources, particularly if you want to refer your students to our resources so that you know what's going on, okay? And then the parent newsletter. So make sure that you're signed up to receive the parent newsletter for St. Thomas because there are a lot of really good articles and some really good information that comes out through the parent newsletter. And it's also useful. So like the parent newsletter will tell you when we have a job fair coming up and when we have events coming up. And that may be where you want to, you know, nudge your student and say, hey, have you registered for the job fair yet? I saw that in the parent newsletter. So we like to keep you guys up on those things as well so that you know what we have going on in our office at any given time. So I'm pretty sure somewhere you have a little box that you check that says, sign me up for the parent newsletter. So make sure that you're doing that because you get a lot of really good information, okay? Okay. That is the end. Now we're going to have a little Forever Young. You can let her roll. I'm going to take a seat over there or stand over there, so if any of you have questions, you can come talk to me, okay? Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Get up, stretch your legs a little bit. I know you've been sitting here and in this room for a really long time already today. You just have a little bit longer to go, okay? Thank you very much.